There is one thing that's pretty sure, and that is that coq au vin is made from rooster. You use the chicken and it's poulet au vin. Roosters are tough and sinewy and they need to be slow cooked, something that doesn't really work for chicken, especially the breasts. That's why today's coq au vin or poulet au vin are cooked much shorter and made from legs, like this one. I made that for my comparison because today I want to cook coq au vin from a whole chicken and try to make it so good that I could serve it in a Michelin star restaurant. But that wasn't that easy, but I thought it's possible. So let's find out when we compare the two.
But my first challenge was to get whole chicken legs, so I thought the easiest way would be to debone a chicken. First, I moved all the skin from the leg towards the breast and cut the skin almost on the top of the leg. Why? So that the breast gets all the skin, because later when I cook it, the skin will shrink, and if there's not plenty, I end up exposing the meat. It wouldn't look great like that. You see, there's still plenty of skin on the leg. Next, I cut the skin around. I looked for the thigh joint and flipped it out of its sockets and cut along the carcass. Now, when I was at the end, I made sure I got the oyster in two. I could have cut out the oyster first, and that would be easier. Next, I cut around the feet knuckle and cut through it. That looks much better. Removing the breast was even easier. But first, I'll show you a trick how to French the wing bone. Here on the top side of the wing, I made my incision right where the muscle joined the breast. I cut towards the second wing joint, and when I got stuck, I flipped it over and pulled it back towards the breast. Easy. Next, I felt out the breastbone. I cut down on one side. Now I faced an obstacle. I quickly wished for something, because the obstacle was the wishbone. What did I wish for? That my version coq au vin will be better than the original. I kept cutting along the carcass, always remembering that on one side of my blade I needed meat, and on the other side there was only bone. Holding on to the wing bone was important, so I did not cut it off the last minute. The final touch was to remove the broken wishbone. I was surprised that it was that easy. Next, I placed the legs into a bowl and salted it so my coq au vin tastes better. The vegetables I cut nice and even so I can leave them in the sauce when serving. First chopped onions, then carrots, celery, chopped garlic and thyme, which are tied together with some orange skin. The acidic wine is also important because it does firm the meat. But which one? Well, in France, that's a regional situation. Sometimes you find coq au vin made with white wine too. In Burgundy, they use Pinot Noir. That's what I will use. Should I use good wine for cooking or not? Use a decent wine without oak and too much bitter tasting tannic acid. Those two can really mess with your dish. Now, I worked in many 2 and 3 Michelin star restaurants. We never used expensive wine in cooking. Good but simple wines. Expensive wine would be a waste. Why? Because I boil it. I add it to roast meat, vegetables, tomato paste, herbs, spices. So I used the simple wine, and the better one I kept for serving. But Pinot Noir is acidic, so I needed some port wine to balance out the sourness. For spices, I used peppercorns, spice cloves, and bay leaves. It was time to marinate it for at least 24 hours. The next day arrived, and so did the moment to cook my coq au vin. I removed the meat and strained the liquid. Next, I dusted the meat with just a touch of flour. Too much of it, and my sauce could turn out too thick after reducing. Pan, butter, and I fried the chicken golden all around. I took it out. More butter. In went the vegetables, till they were golden. The vegetables looked great, but I realized the bottom of the pan started to turn a bit dark. So I needed to do something to stop it. I thought of a splash of wine. That helped. Suddenly the bottom was clean. And then I remembered chefs call that deglazing. So I kept doing that because I knew if I boil the liquids away and fry the vegetables again, I add another flavor layer to my sauce. I deglazed 5 times in total. Now that will make my sauce spectacular. And look at that color. And it will make it even better if I add a bit of tomato paste. In went the wine, which I had plenty, so I thought I skipped the stock. But when I tasted it, the sauce lacked depth, but not flavor. I wondered why. Of course, I left out the stock, so how could I fix that? Should I add stock now? But I didn't have any. There must be something else, I thought. And I remembered the gelatin is just dehydrated, flavorless bone broth. So I thought, what if I add some sheets to enrich my sauce? Wow, it worked. But then I remembered that in France, coq au vin is made from freshly slaughtered roosters, and that the sauce is then thickened with the rooster's blood. But that's just not possible. So I had another light bulb moment. Black pudding, that's made from blood. Luckily, I made some the other day. And while I was on to pulling tricks out my sleeves, I thought, why not round up the sauce with a hint of bitter chocolate? This really got things going. Wow, I was surprised with myself. I hope my wife, when she tastes it, will be in awe too. It doesn't happen often. I felt I could be onto something here. Anyway, I did not want to get carried away, so I kept focusing on my chicken. I placed it into the sauce, reduced the heat and simmered it for 25 to 30 minutes. That gave me plenty of time to make my burgundy garnish. For that, I cut some bacon lardons and peeled some shallots. The mushrooms I picked carefully in the shop and went for really small ones. Last thing, parsley. The cooking was easy. The shallots I simmered in a little salted water for 10 minutes or so, and then I cut them into slices. Butter, pan, yum. Sure, I could have used pearl onions, but they're not always around. And then I remembered, when I was a head chef for Marco Beer White, we often blanched it in case the bacon was too salty. Bacon halfway through the mushrooms looks great. Last thing, the parsley. Look at that mash. I made a great video on that. I put it into the link below. The chicken now was also ready. Moist and juicy. I took it out and reduced the sauce till it was sticky enough to nicely coat my chicken. I tasted it and realized it missed one crucial ingredient. Butter. But cold butter, because cold butter binds the sauce better. Great. Do you want to know what the French do before serving a chicken blanquette? Well, they refry the skin before serving. Now, I thought that might be a nice twist to my coq au vin too. A bit of butter in a pan. Wow, it really worked. But wait for my other version. The skin on that one is so much better. How? Oh well, let's do that first. And then I played my classic. You remember how I deboned the chicken before? Yes? Well, in this one I went one step further and removed the thigh bone too, by simply following that line, straight through the knuckle. Along that line, I got straight to the thigh bone. The breast I trimmed. Don't worry, nothing gets wasted. Wait for it. I marinated it. When I took it out, I stuffed the breast trimmings into the leg, where the thigh bone before was. Next I wrapped the legs and breasts in tin foil. The legs I steamed first for 3 minutes, then I added the breast too and steamed it for another 2 minutes. Heat off, and like that for 30 minutes. I chilled it. So, during that time, I made my sauce. But how? I had no chicken left, I cooked it already, but hey, I still had all those leftover wings and frames. So I roasted them golden brown in butter. Like before, vegetables, deglazing, tomato paste, herbs, spices. And yes, you have the recipe in the link below. Just with another garnish, I'll show you in a minute. Now, Did I or did I not add gelatin, black pudding and chocolate? Of course I did. I simmered it for 1 hour, strained it and added some water to the bones to wash off all those extra flavors. Next I passed it through a muslin cloth because that stuff would not be great in my sauce. I reduced it, but it was a bit thin, and I remembered I did not add any flour to my roasting bones. I thickened it with Burmanie instead, which is 1 part of soft butter and 1 part of flour. I dissolved it and boiled it again to see if it worked or needed more. Time for my final touches. Ice cold butter, no mash this time, instead fondant potatoes. The mushrooms I scooped out. I cooked them like before and filled the onions and the bacon into them. Next I unwrapped the chicken. So, how did I get my skin so crispy? Well, 180 degrees hot oil. Once, twice and 3 times. Wow! Again, I was impressed with myself, but will it be enough to impress my wife too? Let's find out and plate them both.
Right, so it's coq au vin today. A very classic traditional one and hopefully an upgraded one. So
That was upgraded?
I think so, and try to.
That one looks very dark.
Well, that's the traditional one. You just cook it in the red wine gravy.
Uh-huh.
And that one. Okay,
It's not cooked in red wine gravy.
Sort of.
Okay, off I go.
Off we go.
Coq au vin. So there's a little bit of the chicken, a little bit of the mushroom, onion, or bacon, and potato. That is a perfect morsel, isn't it, to do a taste test with. My skills are happening this morning so far. The duck is very, sorry, the duck.
A duck.
So again, I get confused because I actually went to a French restaurant for dinner on Friday,
Yeah.
which you didn't come with me.
No.
And my mum had
right.
duck, and I had the coq au vin on purpose to do a comparison today. Sorry, so I have duck on the head, on the brain. So it's definitely better than the one I had on Friday.
Yeah.
It's a nice coq au vin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm interested to try this one now.
Okay.
Because I know you've done something
Did I?
to make it go, "Ta-da!" Give that extra panache. But yes, it's a lot more tender than the coq au vin I had on Friday at the restaurant. It was a little bit dry and there wasn't much meat on it, to be honest.
So let's go this one. So here we go.
We need some jus.
Yes.
If not some jus, some wine. Here's the jus. So that's cooked in wine.
It's cooked in wine.
And this is not cooked in wine. You're taking a bit of a risk here.
It's still marinated. It is essentially.
What's it marinated in?
In wine.
This one is.
Yeah.
But where's the colour?
Well, you see it in there, for example.
Okay.
And taste it.
So they're both marinated in wine.
Yes, it's just the finishing stages were a bit different.
Okay. I love the presentation of this. Bit of bacon. So the potato is different. We don't have mash. We've got
Fondant.
fondant potato. That's what I was looking for. It's just got that extra bit of. Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That when I taste it, it's like, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, it's
very nice.
traditional,
Very nice dinner.
That's sort of a bistro dish.
But this one's just got that little bit of an edge. It's got a subtle kick to it with the flavour. And that's what I think your food has to offer. The unexpected kick that still works with the dish. And you can taste the wine with the... This is very, very tender.
Yeah.
And you can taste the wine with the chicken, etc. But you taste... It's all kind of a blended flavour. But this one, you taste the chicken and you taste the sauce. And you taste... It's all more of a separated experience of flavours. Yeah, I would definitely finish that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Very good.
So, I managed to impress you.
Yep.
Okay, check out my video on chicken poutine, which would make an amazing chicken entree. That's a chicken main.
Have I tried that?
Yeah, just a few weeks ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm the taster, aren't I? Sorry. Did I like it?
I think so.
Chicken Valentine, which one's that?
You know, that big round thing, which you will keep eating days after.
Oh, okay, I must have liked it then. Okay.
So, that's it.
Oh,
What?
you've got to say goodbye.
I don't never say so, but
See you later. You gotta say goodbye. You
Yeah.
gotta connect with your audience.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, very good. You can have that one, I'll have this one.